It's a new season and it's new opportunities for a new champion to be crowned. From July to October, we'll be racing touring car style. The format of 3 20-minute races per evening is always eventful, and tonight we're kicking off the new season of the touring car series at the Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona, and it's certainly an awesome one indeed. Myself, Cameron Roger, and Paul Smith will be bringing you through the action, with Connery Maddock on production for RaceSpotTV behind the scenes as well. The reigning champion, Corentin Guinez, is not racing this season, so that opens up the door, Paul, and it's certainly going to be an awesome season to find out who the new champion will be.
It certainly will. Of course, we have got a returning champion in Ross McFarlane here as well. There's plenty of talent up at the top of the standings in terms of how these drivers will go on. Sindre Setsource is one driver in particular that's really caught my eye joining this season. So certainly, I'm looking forward to this one as always.
Yeah, and the three races, well, of course, we'll have the reverse races for race 2 and race 3. Ever eventful, there's going to be action in there, and it's going to come down to a bit of consistency over the course of the season as well. It's not just where you get yourself in qualifying and therefore finish in the first race. Well, of course, we have to look a bit further down. But let's show you the schedule and the tracks we'll be racing for this season. We start here, of course, at Catalunya, I should say, on July the 20th, and all the way to October, we'll be finishing at Silverstone. We'll be following some of the greatest tracks there are around the world. Of course, we go to Imola, to Road America, Watkins Glen, Brands Hatch for a bit of a tricky end to the season, followed by Donington as well as Silverstone as ever. So yeah, definitely, Paul, it's an awesome calendar with lots of great tracks.
It's going to be interesting to see how they go on at Jerez the next round in just a week's time, because that is brand new to this championship here this season. The Indianapolis road course as well, we've not seen this championship go there, so again, another new challenge for the drivers out there. But there's some classics there. Sebring always produces some excellent racing, as does Watkins Glen. VIR, Virginia International Raceway, I think is a vastly underrated track, and then the trio of British tracks at the end of the season. True touring car tracks.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for these drivers to navigate it cleanly. We are expecting some action-packed argy-bargy style racing, but that is just the way it goes in these cars. Of course, we have the 4 different manufacturers of cars as well. We have the Audi RS3, the Honda Civic Type R, and then the 2 Hyundais of the Veloster and the Elantra out on track. So a bit of a different sort of a style for a couple of these teams, but as ever, Paul, some of these teams, they find a car that they like and they stick with it, and therefore they are absolutely rapid because they know just how the car is going to act over the 20-minute race.
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few of the teams that are returning from last season have actually jumped ship to different cars. So the car that was the car of favour for everyone pretty much last season was the Hyundai Elantra. This season, though, we're seeing more of the shorter wheelbase cars in the Honda Accord. The Honda Civic, I'm going back to my old school touring car days. The Honda Civic, the Veloster, as well as a bit of a shorter wheelbase car. But also there's a bit of balanced performance adjustment in the series as well. So the Elantra, as I say, which was the favoured car last season, this season it's got half a percentage of horsepower down, plus an 8 kilo weight penalty as well. So it'd be interesting to see how that sort of reins that Elantra in, because it was such an all-round car, was that last season.
And it certainly looks to be doing the magic. We've got an Audi RS3 up on pole position as it stands, it says. Of course, session has finished, maybe just a couple more times coming in. So close, actually, though, between those top few drives. Pretty much quarter of a second, just about 3/10 covering those top 6. It's going to be a very tight race indeed. And we have to look all the way down to P9 with Stefan Scheller for the first Elantra. So definitely maybe a bit of a change in the BOP just coming their way. Small changes, though, but these things always, make a bigger difference when the margins are so small.
Yeah, and this is what you find with this type of racing. The margins are small. I mean, you go down to 21st before you're then looking at more than a second between first and 21st. So it is quite a tight grid out there. And as well with this series, you do have two classes of driver as well. You've got the pro drivers and the AM drivers, so they're both vying for their own championships here, which gives a lot of the grid the opportunity to be able to continue and fight for a championship.
And it's not just, of course, the championship that they're fighting for as such, and the the pride that comes with that. But there is actually physical acrylic trophies for the top three pro drivers, top three AM drivers as well. And that is something that's always good in the sim racing world. We often fight for pride as such. Everyone's all around the world, but the fact that the organisers can send out a physical trophy is always a really good thing for that, as well as the top three drivers in both classes getting sim gloves thanks to Freem UK as well, as the Pro and AM champions also getting full corner kits from Butt Kicker. So, Paul, definitely some nice prizes for these champions as well at the end of this.
Absolutely, and the series, they do have a really good, loyal set of sponsors as well on board with them, and that provide these prizes, and it's all well, it's really good, the prizes that they give. Freem, they've been a loyal supporter of the World Sim Racing Series as a whole for a number of years now, and it's a partnership that's just gone on and on. And Butt Kicker last season, should I say, came into the touring cars, and they've stuck around. They're really happy with the series that they've got, and they're supporting it once again.
Yeah, and it's, of course, I believe season 4 now of this championship, so it's definitely been going for quite a while, which is good to see. And we will, of course, find out what the champion is going to be at the end of it. It's going to be a difficult one to come out on top of that. There's definitely going to be a lot of a lot of ups and downs over the course of the season. And Paul, I just wonder, is there anyone, obviously, been through this series previously, is anyone who stands out that you think is really going to be fighting for that championship at the end of it?
I think Ross McFarlane, definitely. Jack Sedgwick he can blow hot and cold sometimes. If he's up there at the front, he's really good. Sindra Setsource, I said, you can never write out Wojciech Savinovic either. He is somebody who knows how to win in touring cars.
Here's your starting grid for the first race of the season. We've got Setsource on pole position by 0.3 of a second in the end from Ross McFarlane rounding out that front row. Sedgwick and Harris follow on the second row in behind before Rodriguez and Savinovic there rounding out your top 6. Martin and Baker follow in behind with Nykamp and Scheller rounding out your top 10. Shirley and Blackhall inside your top 12. Jimenez and Reinhardt inside the top 14 with Shell and Pollard inside your top 8 rows. Gonzalez and House round out your top 18. And now to the drivers, are about a second off pole position. We have Gilman and Williams there rounding out top 20. Geisler and Bickley inside your top 22. Weinman and Douglas inside your top 12 rows of the grid. And we do have 36 drivers today, which is good to see. Mulqueen and Sackvitz there in your top 26. Weisshaft and Veer inside your top 28. Sutherland and Valcona in that top 30. In the final page today, we got Javokits there and Harrod inside the top 32. Manners Roberts for the 34th place before Malcolm and Hussein round out your 36 drivers for the grid today. It's definitely looking very close up towards the front. The drivers will be having just a couple of seconds to grid up before we go to the 20-minute race. And as ever, quite a cool feature of this championship as well is the 3 races happen at slightly different times of day as well. So some different variable conditions for the drivers to adapt to, as well as the reverse grid. As we come onto the grid, everyone will be getting ready, of course, to start the first race of the season. It's always a difficult one, a tense moment for the drivers to get themselves into that mindset to go racing once again after a bit of a break. And it'll be Setsource taking us away from pole position as we go green. The drivers try and work their way. Already we're going almost 3 wide. As we come down past the pit exit, we are 3 wide. Waving to see their car coming through the middle of the number 27. That is Damien Harris through the middle. Can he try and make a gap? It's going to be side by side in towards the braking zone. Cars moving around all over the place, but it's going to be a Pure Sims car there up the inside. The 127, Russ McFarlane keeps on to that second place as Cedric holds on to third, but there's contact in behind. They're going to be working their way down the order, but it continues on pretty clean at the front.
Now that was Harris. That was Harris who had the great launch from the start, then just got turned on the exit of turn 2, and he's dropped down the order a little bit in that one. But yeah, we are staying green flag racing. This is really encouraging to see. Nice wide Grand Prix circuit for these drivers to get themselves on, and knowing touring car drivers, they'll use every single inch of this asphalt here in Spain. And of course, don't forget, Sindra Setsos, it's his home race is this one. He's a driver who knows this circuit very well, so expect him to do well in that Audi.
Yeah, he's doing a good job so far, but he does have McFarlane all over the back as we come up to the very important turn 9 corner. This goes out onto the back straight, where there will be a nice overtaking opportunity, especially as we're running the historic layout here. So we've got this slightly, ever so slightly longer run here, down in towards the hairpin, slightly faster corner as well. Can McFarlane do anything down the inside? Not this time around. So Setsos holds on to that one. McFarlane gets a really good apex there and continues the run up towards the very important right-handed corner, because this comes on to the final couple of corners, which are so fast nowadays as we've removed the chicane.
Oh, it's the much better layout is this, absolutely, and you just sweep around this corner, give it a little bit of a break, it's over the curb there, Setsos. That's not how to take it. This is McFarlane's opportunity. He's got the better run because of the car being upset, but that Audi is so strong down the straights.
And let's see if there's anything Simpson can do for Cedric in behind in that third place. But down towards turn 1 is the battle for the lead that will focus on McFarlane on the inside. Can he make it later on the brakes? No, they're pretty even actually. As we get to the apex of the corner, Setsos is going to hold on to that round the outside. That'll be the inside for turn 2. McFarlane just has to back out of that one slightly as Cedric comes in behind as he closes up that gap. Setsos defending well at this moment in time, but as we come out through turn 3 now up towards the braking zone of turn 4, McFarlane's having to turn attack into defence in towards this next braking zone. Cedric around the outside as Rodriguez is thinking about coming up the inside of turn 4 as well. Side by side it's going to be as we come down towards the hairpin. It looks like they're staying in single file, but in behind actually is for Martin there, dropping down in towards 6th place.
Yeah, Dan Martin, I think he surprised a lot of people with his AM driving last season. But here's a replay. That's Jake Blackall getting wiped out there into turn 1, and it's Ismail Jimenez who was the one making the contact there. Blackall does get back and running, as does Jimenez, so that should be fine for them. But yeah, Dan Martin really surprised a few people in the AM Championship, so much so that he's been brought up into the Pro Championship this season, and he's up there at the front fighting with the likes of Savinovic and Rodriguez.
Yeah, good job so far from him. 6th place as it stands, and look at this train for the lead. There's no brakes in it. Everyone is pretty much bumper to bumper. Is that what the tops of 8-9 cars all in a big pack? There's even 10 cars down to Harris. Actually, a little bit of a gap. He's just coming to the first AM driver, Schill, for that 11th place. As we come out onto the front straightaway once again, what is the slipstream going to be like? Is there going to be any way of racing? Actually, going to be 5th place there, and Savinovic is going to come out, but also at the front, McFarlane's going to have another go down this front straight towards the first corner. Can he finally make it stick? He's definitely a lot further alongside this time around, maybe another couple of meters. That might help him in towards the braking zone. He dives to the apex, and it's going to be first place from McFarlane. He takes the lead as we start the second lap.
And once again, it was that compromised line through the final corner for Setsos, that Audi. It's not liking that last corner, is it? And it's really showing up. But now Ross McFarlane, well, Setsos is having to feel good defensive here on Jack Sedgwick. These are two drivers who know each other very, very well, these two, and Sedgwick and Setsos, of course, former World Championship licence holders, so they've raced at the very top level. Sedgwick to the inside, down the hairpin, nicely done, and Savinovic, he's wanting a piece of the action now.
Oh, nice 3-wide moment coming up towards turn 6. Can Savinovic make it a double move up the inside? He's going to try it. That'll be from 4th to 2nd, but no, round the outside. Sedgwick holds on to it, and Setsos actually is going to be coming back up towards turn 9 as well. Lovely racing here, the first race of the season. We've got Martin coming in behind these two as well. As we come down the back straight now, it's going to be Savinovic on the outside. He's actually got a bit of a run. He's got his nose ahead, but on the outside, that's going to be very difficult to do so around such a fast, long corner, but he's going to try. tyre. It will turn to the inside, up towards turn 11. If he can hold on to that one side by side, it's going to be Setsus. He went from first. Is he going to be going now down into fourth place? Yes, he is. Savidovic up onto the podium.
Nice stuff from Wojciech there. He hung it out round the outside. He can get on the power a little bit earlier on the outside through turn 10, should I say, through this final corner. This is where Setsus has been struggling. Dan Martin having to go defensive as well just behind because he is Rodriguez. Rodriguez has got Dave Baker behind him. Martin, I wonder if he's got a slow down penalty. It must be a slow down penalty with him pulling over to the side there.
Yeah, maybe that is the case. It's a shame for him who got up into such a strong place, but he is still going to be actually just on the back of this front train, so it's not completely out of it. But yeah, making one place is hard in this championship, let alone about 5 or 6 that he's lost there. As you see Baker in the number 6 machine. Solid place, P6 as well, just like his car number. But as we come through turn 3, look at all those cars up ahead. You need to try and pick them off one at a time, but it's easier said than done as ever as we come through this first sector. Tight and twisty part of the track. This is where you can really have a bit of a dive down the inside in some of the harder braking zone tracks, but it looks like they're all going to be staying pretty single file for now. Just got to wait for the opportunity to dive down the inside later on in the lap.
David Baker traditionally has the number 6 because that's traditionally where he finishes his 6th place. So it's not that he wants to finish there, but he just always seems to sort of pan out to be in that place. He's a good, consistent driver, is David, and I've been a former teammate of his for a number of seasons in various other series, and I know what a competitor he is as well. He will fight for a position, but speaking of fighting for a position, welcome to the series, Nikam. And Vivek doing a good job in that impulse car.
Yeah, he's certainly having a nice first race so far, as it seems like after the first couple of laps they have got themselves just that extra little bit spread out, just an extra couple of meters between the cars, so it stops too much chaos as such. You have to work your way up towards the car in front of you, and as ever, wait for the straight. So Setsus there went a little bit wide actually coming onto that straight. He struggled, you're right, Paul, coming on onto the front straight through that final corner. Is he going to be losing another place here? We've got Rodriguez getting the run in that 35 machine down towards the first corner. Such a long run, well over a kilometre in towards the braking zone, but actually Setsus managed to hold on to that one this time around.
Yeah, I think that Rodriguez was just that little bit too far behind to make that move into one there, because the Audi, it is a grunty car. It is really good and fast down these long straights, but it can struggle through the corners and it can feel a little bit of a barge at times. If you get it set up right, it's not too bad, but yeah, it is a little bit of a compromise with that car. But the Honda Civic, it's quite a nimble, agile car, so you want to watch out for that one through the twisty stuff. And you can see it gets all the way up to the back bumper of Setsus.
And it's interesting you mentioned that actually. Do you maybe just want to describe a little bit more the difference between sort of the longer and shorter wheelbases and how that affects the car as certain different styles of corners?
It's basically a shorter wheelbase car, so like the Civic and the Veloster. Their shorter wheelbase means that they're a lot more nimble. They can do the twisty stuff a lot better, change direction a bit quicker, whereas a longer wheelbase car like this car that we're seeing on the screen, the Carla Esports car, the Hyundai Elantra, it's a longer wheelbase car. That means it's going to be more stable, is that car. It's brilliant over the curbs, is this car, and that's one of its real strong points, is how it handles curb strikes. But it's, if you can get it dialed in, it is a quick, rapid car, but it's getting it dialed in that's the difficult part. But the Audi as well, I don't know if it's something to do with the differential or something, but the front end just seems to want to push on and do a little bit more understeer than the Accord again, than the Civic and the Veloster.
As here comes the number 24 machine coming down the straight. That's Stuart Bickley trying to make this place up, and this could actually be important because the reverse grid does be random from 12th to 24th place. So this could be a reverse grid pole if they're lucky enough a bit later on, but it's going to be Bickley. Nice easy move down the inside there in towards turn number 1. as House there goes into 24th place. And as ever, these drivers still get points and everything like that. They've still got the reverse grid to play for, so it's not just the top places to look out for in this championship, it is the ones a bit lower down as well. It looks like House almost thinking about coming back up towards turn 4, but actually, yeah, a bit of a late dive looking down the inside, but I think he's just trying to keep Bickley on his toes. No move just yet.
Yeah, nicely done, as still looking into the hairpin, change one side to the other. Oh my goodness, that's a late dive, and yeah, tell you what, he made it stick, did the Carl Esports driver. Fantastic stuff, but Bickley, he's a fighter, as Stuart, and he will come back here. Oh, into the chicane, don't make contact. Well, there was a bit of contact, door to door. Bickley's the one who loses out, and coming through is Damon Mulqueen, who is returning from last season as well.
Up one place and then down two. That is just how we like some touring car racing. Hussein from the back of the grid seems to be getting a little bit of a run here, but Bickley actually himself almost looking down the inside in towards the hairpin, but now Hussein late dive trying to fill that gap off the car ahead, as we're seeing Bickley holding in now all the way around the outside. You can't quite see it from the camera angle, but it's such a long accelerating corner through turn 10 there. Oh, as we see there, it's like Hussein actually having a bit of a huge slide there as he tries to get on the power. Bickley now down in towards the penultimate corner. Don't always see overtakes there, but he's going to make it stick up the inside. He'll have the inside again for the final corner. I'm not sure if Mulqueen's going to be able to hold on to that one as they slide almost four-wheel drift there onto the start-finish straight.
He'll get the better run, or he should do, but look at this now. We've got a queue of cars here. You've got Naveed Hussein, and you've also got behind him the recovering Jake Blackall, who, well, I know that from being a teammate of Jake's, if anybody's in the team radio when that contact happened for Jake, it will have been very blue, will the language in that team radio. He's somebody who is very forthcoming with his thoughts on other drivers driving.
Yeah, you gotta love drivers who get pretty much involved in that. As Hussein is doing such a good job to pick off these places. Now coming towards turn number 4, he's got Bickley on his outside, but it's actually going to be Blackall there. Dives it down the inside of the space that was opened up on the apex. He's now going to be to the outside of turn number 5 as the two Hondas brake simultaneously, but it's actually going to be Bickley, goes slightly deeper, makes it to the apex and holds on to that one. As these drivers, they're fighting so hard, they know what these places mean, even to them, as the P24 looms as well for the spinning wheel. That'll be coming up a bit later after this race, and it's good to see that the battles are not only at the front but in the midfield. It's not like the drivers further back here are giving up or anything like that. As we've seen Sheila, he's dropping down, he's gone off somewhere as Harris gets back up into 9th place. Is that the hairpin maybe? I think that is coming out. Unfortunately, I wonder if there's a bit of contact there coming towards the braking zone.
Well, let's have a look then. So we're going to have a look at, we'll get a replay sorted for you, and there we go, we've queued up the videotape now under the best technology here at RaceSpotTV. But down towards, so this is at turn 9, this is the run then that you need to take, down towards turn number 10. In front of him is Damien Harris, and it's and Dan Martin, who is with him. He's missed his braking there. That's what he's done, he's missed his braking. He's tried to throw the car down the inside to try and avoid contact, and unfortunately, innocent party and all that was Harris.
I mean, that was quite a few metres late. I mean, that wasn't just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 metres there. That's probably about 10, 20 metres too late. Unfortunately, he was nowhere near making that apex. Yeah, he did try and avoid the contact as such, and he actually didn't do too bad of a job of that, but certainly a bit of a lapse in concentration there. And that just shows you how easy it is, especially when you're in a bit of a train of cars. You slightly lose your markers a little bit. You've got cars blocking it, but also you're just focusing on the cars rather than the road and the objects around you. So he's dropped down in 16th place now. Got Williams just in behind one of the AM drivers. 4th place, actually, for Williams there. For Was Cooking, coming through, all flashing off the headlights as they try and sort of ramp up the tension here and try and put pressure on the cars ahead.
It's all well and good flashing the headlights, but it does nothing. If you're in the car in front and you've got the car behind flashing the headlights, it's like, yeah, well done, your button works. It does
you're
nothing.
Still behind me.
Yeah, exactly. You're behind me. The flashing the headlights isn't going to get me to move out of your way. Well, Craig Williams absolutely sends it to the hairpin, and fair credit to him, he stuck it to the apex as well. That was a good move.
Yeah, that's what Sheila was trying to do on the previous lap. He managed to make it work, did Williams, and that was that was a clean move as well, up the inside. I don't know if Sheila was expecting that, maybe not. As you come through the final couple of corners now, he's all over the rear bumper, though, of Williams, as Sheila's now trying to get the run. It's so difficult through these faster corners. You just have to be so balanced on the throttle and on the brakes to get the car rotated and then get the run down this front straightaway. What is the slipstream going to be like for that Hyundai? He's trying his best to get the run towards this first corner. He's going to go left. Is he going to go right? And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be a move for him. As I saw, was that Baker getting up inside the top 5, potentially getting past Rodriguez a little bit earlier on in the lap, potentially coming in towards turn number 1 there. They've got a little two-way fight just behind the top 4. They've dropped off by about 1.5 seconds, so maybe not fighting for the podium in this race, but certainly a solid result if they can survive the final couple of laps.
I will say Scheller down there in 17th, he will struggle with damage to his car from that contact a couple of laps ago, but this is still ongoing, is this? And I can tell you there's going to be a little bit of drama as well for Dr. Naveed Hussain, because the Wave Italy driver has actually got himself a black flag, so a drive-through penalty for Naveed. He'll have to serve that before the end of the race, because if you don't serve it by the end of the race, with it being so close to the end here, it'll add on about a 40-second penalty to your time if you don't serve it. So Naveed, he's going to be dropping down the order here, and this is not the start that you would have wanted for the pro driver after starting right at the very back of the grid.
Yeah, solid race, but unfortunately, well, 2 cars taking the old layout. That is not the way we're going, gentlemen. But coming back onto the straight, that's not the best rejoins either. Fortunately, there wasn't anyone coming, but Jimenez was involved there, and I didn't quite see the other car in behind, but definitely some contact up the inside of turn 9. I wonder if they tried to overtake there, but yeah, ended up going the wrong way on the track.
Andreas Gilman, by the way, last season he was impressive and did make a push for the championship. I will say that it was a terse flash of the headlights, so I don't think that Gilman was too pleased with what happened with Jimenez there.
Yeah, it's always a difficult one, that corner. It's so fast, but at the same time, there is kind of a braking zone, so you always want to dive in the inside, but I guess it depends on the run out of the chicane before that as well. That can always set up the move, as we're going to be seeing it here coming through. Oh, there's already some issues up ahead, so that sort of teal car is the one that we're looking out for to be involved in this one. So Jimenez is going to get a run through the chicane, and yeah, it's going to be massive run, actually way too slow there for the Impulse car. Down the inside is going to be there's room left as it stands, hits on the anti-cuts, pressure put on the rear left of Jimenez's car, and he just couldn't turn to the right anymore, I'd say.
Yeah, that was in that anti-cut curb, that sausage curb pushed Jimenez's car into the side of Gilman's car, and that's just what caused the two of them to get stuck together. But time's running out for these drivers, only 1:40 left. This first race has absolutely flown by here, Cam, and it's still really good racing, although saying that Nijkamp is in the wall and out.
Oh my God, just 1 lap to go and it's all changed up inside the top 10. Let's see what's happened in here, down in towards the hairpin. The number 21 machine there coming up towards turn 9, just like his teammate for Impulse just a lap or so ago. As we're seeing, that is a Dan Martin, the car in behind, coming towards the hairpin. He's a little bit far back. It's going to be an absolute send on the brakes down the inside. Yes, it is. Oh, contact already. The early parts of the braking zone. I wonder if the Impulse car there just tweaked slightly left as well. But Nijkamp is absolutely sent into the barrier and out of the race with just 1 lap to go.
Dan just didn't quite get pulled out enough, I don't think, when the brakes were applied, and they just made contact into the rear. Dan will hold his hand up for that one and apologise. That was a genuine mistake. That's not somebody just doing a punt to pass or anything. That is a genuine mistake there. But we are on the last lap of the race here, and the race for the lead, it's not over yet, is it?
Yeah, certainly not, as it is getting close. Mafali's led for quite a while now. Cedric's been there, hasn't been able to make a move, but he is just 3/10 back and closing in ever so slightly now, coming through this middle part of the lap. Of course, we have the all-important braking zone in towards turn 10. That is where we can see, but we have seen a couple of crashes there on the previous laps as everyone tries to find their way through. Just one more proper opportunity for Cedric, but he's too far back, I reckon, unless he's going to do an absolutely worldly send down the inside. He might just have to take second place here. McFarlane is holding on really nicely now, just 3 corners to go. It's going to be for the Pure Sims driver. He obviously managed to make that move up into the P1 position past Setses, who's kept in that 4th place. It is going to be Ross McFarlane, couple of corners to go, and he will take the first race victory of the season, subject to him navigating this final corner for the last time. And it is going to be McFarlane out of the final corner. First race of the season goes to Pure Sims, goes to McFarlane, Cedric in behind, and Svidovic on the podium as well, with Setsis, your pole sitter, rounding out the top 4. Baker is inside the top 5 after a decent move. As we go a little bit further back, Shirley hit in 13th place, close finish with him. He's got Gonzalez just as we come across the line, and Williams following in behind for P50.
Yeah, really good opening race and opening round of the championship, and still the close fights across the line. This is an important one across the line. Jake Blackwell manages to get into that top 24, so potentially the opportunity of a reverse grid pole for Jake. The last few cars coming through: Scott Malcolm, Naveed Hussain after serving his penalty, Josef Villa and Elliot Roberts will be the last driver running out there on track. But what a display by Ross McFarlane. Put the pressure on Sindre Setsos in the opening few laps of the race, made the move into turn 1, and then just didn't look back really, did he?
Yeah, he didn't necessarily pull away, but he just kept Cedric at bay, and that is going to be proving very nice racecraft from him. And interesting, actually, I just noticed that he has got a slightly different car to his teammate in behind there. So Pure Sims, alternating their cars between their drivers, which is good to see that they want to see. But let's see now who is going to be getting the reverse grid pole, the first reverse grid pole of the season as well. We got the spinny wheel from P12 to 24. And what is it going to be for the second race of the evening? As it spins and it spins and it keeps on going. What number is it going to be? P17 it is going to be. So that's quite a lower down number as well. And so, of course, McFarlane will be going back to 17th place, Paul, and that's going to be a big fight from there. But this is where the season really starts, and where you see the better drivers come up. Actually, we'll go through the results. So there is confirmation of McFarlane winning by 0.4 of a second from Cedric and Svidovic. In 3rd place, Setsis in 4th, Baker, Rodriguez in your top 6, Harris, Schill, Martin and Reinhardt rounding out your top 10. And just 10 seconds covering the top 10 after 11 laps. Not too bad. Geisler, Pollard, Shirley, Gonzalez and Williams inside your top 15, with Scheller, Falcona, Douglas House and Sakovic inside your top 20, about 20 seconds off. So about a second per driver average so far. Yavoski and Bickley, they're having some nice battles with Feynman in behind. Blackhall as well in that P24 spot. Jimenez and Mulqueen, they gave us some good showings as well, with Weishaft, Gilman, Harrod and Manners inside your top 30. Then on your final page is going to be Malcolm, Hussein, who dropped down a bit in the end with that penalty, unfortunately. Via Roberts, Nykamp, who didn't make it to the final lap with that huge crash, and Sutherland for your top 36. And the fastest lap, a 151.4 by David Baker on the final lap to round out his top 10 performance as well. So yeah, that was certainly a nice way to start the season, Paul. It's very nice to see the battles, of course, continue, and now it's going to be some hard work for those faster drivers to start coming back through the field.
Yeah, 17th place reverse grid is one of the bigger ones. Patrick Faulkner, I think he'll be delighted with that, to get a pole position in the second race. Stefan Scheller as well. I think this is an opportunity for Stefan to try and get a good result as well. Craig Williams, you can never write him out. He was winning races in the Audi when the Audi was not the favoured car last season, so definitely he is somebody who knows that Audi very well. In fact, I know Patrick Faulkner's team boss will be delighted with him getting pole position for DCW Racing. So Richard Simner in the YouTube chat saying hello to everyone. But definitely big opportunities for some drivers to get some points, especially the AM drivers. We haven't explained it so far this series, this season, but the points that the places that you finish in are the points that you get. There's not a separate points for pros, not separate points for AMs. It's just a set of points all the way through, and wherever you finish in that, that's where you score. So these reverse grids can be really big for the AM drivers in particular.
Yeah, especially if you can get sort of 4 or 5 drivers in between you and the next AM driver, of course, therefore your gain is going to be quite a lot from that. And as you say, the reverse is going to be quite major for that, especially when it's 17 places. We saw there was quite a lot of overtaking, but we didn't see someone jumping up 5-10 places. You could only really get maybe 2 or 3 over the course of the race, at least today at Barcelona. So if you're taking that into account, and you're in P17 now going to pole, if you even stay inside the top 5, top 10, you're going to be really happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I was racing in the series, if I did manage to find myself accidentally up at the front of the grid because I was way out of my depth up there, it was very much a case of, right, let's just get some points, let's just get whatever we can out of this one and take advantage of the position. Patrick Faulkner, it's worth pointing out, gained 13 places to get into that 17th place, so really good result for him. And Jaworski as well, up 10 places. I think Naveed Hussain would have been the biggest mover if he hadn't have gone over the instant point limit. But it's a good point that we see there, that the series does encourage hard racing, but they want it to be fair racing as well.
And to get to a point limit in a 20-minute race is also showing that you've had a little bit too many contacts probably as well, because I doubt it would have been just for off tracks. Yeah, probably some contact there. But then again, you did make up some places, so you have to obviously be aggressive in this series. And then, of course, we'll get the reverse grid again for the third race. So what you might end up seeing is some top drivers, they drop down for the second race, but then if they don't make it up, they may then, with the reverse, go back to the top for the third race. So it's not all over, and it's definitely an interesting format that takes a little bit of strategy in terms of tyres and pit stops out of the equation, but in terms of your racecraft, it adds a lot there.
It does, and it's not winning every race that wins you a championship. I mean, it helps you win a championship, but it's getting up through those reverse grid races and working your way through the field to get as many points as you can. That's what wins you a championship here in the World Touring Car Series, and it is a real challenge, and it's a knack, and it's for those drivers who are experienced at that. So someone like Ross McFarlane, Wojciech Savinovic, they're very experienced at these reverse grid races. They've been doing these types of races for over 8-10 years in Wojciech Savinovic's case. So they know what it takes to progress forward through a field where maybe those drivers in and around you aren't as quick as you are on a one-lap pace.
And obviously, as Shane being in a past driver in a format like this, how would you approach this style of racing? Are you going to be ultra aggressive, trying to make up those places again? Or do you use this second race where you drop down, for instance, the likes of McFarlane especially, is going to be right in the middle of the pack. It's going to be potentially quite dangerous there, especially on the first couple of laps. Are you still going to be aggressive to try and get those places, or are you just going to cut your losses and just try and get a solid result and get to the end of the race?
It's very much a case of try and survive lap number 1 and be aggressive on lap number 1, because obviously that's when everybody's the closest that they are. You can gain the most places at that point, but then after that it's just gaining those positions, getting that momentum and working your way through the field that'll be then the challenge for you. But McFarlane, you've got to remember, the drivers directly in front of him are all the drivers who finished up at the front with him. So they're all trying to do exactly the same as well. So it's not as easy as you would imagine than, say, if it was one quick driver and then a load of drivers who weren't quite at their pace, if somebody was just out of position on grid, for example. So it takes a real knack to work your way through in these races 2 and 3 of an evening.
Yeah, certainly a difficult one, and the one thing that I like is that you have the difference of the track conditions as well. So they do have a little bit of a practice session before, but the car is going to be slightly different. The balance might be out, and they're going to have to work around that as well. So some of the drivers may prefer, maybe some of the cars prefer slightly different conditions as well between the races, and that is always a bit of a factor, because especially in a 20-minute race, if you're missing even a few tenths of a second, that's really going to add up. So I think being versatile and being adaptable is what's going to be winning you this championship by the end of it, and especially with 12 rounds as well. A bit of quick maths. It's 36 races that we're going to have to go through between now and October. So it's definitely a difficult one to win. And that is where we're going to see, obviously, the likes of McFarlane now in this second race. What is he going to be made of, and how much aggression is he going to be putting into it? But I thought, actually, Paul, that we saw... Okay, there were a couple of big crashes, but I think overall the racing was a little bit cleaner than I was expecting. I don't know if that's maybe to do with the track, or maybe it is just to do with the driving standards that we have in this series.
I mean, opening round of a championship, opening week of a championship is always generally the one where you get the most tripping over. So, yeah, definitely. I think it was a good, clean first race. It's these reverse grids now where things can maybe get a little bit more messy.
And as we build up to the second race, we'll take a little bit of a break now. Here's some words from our sponsors. Welcome back to the World Touring Car Series. We just had the first race of the evening here at Barcelona, and we've got the second race coming up. We just saw Ross McFarlane take victory, but it'll be the top 17 that are reversed for our grid today. So he'll be dropping all the way down. We'll be having to do some overtakes once again. So it's definitely going to be a tricky one. We've got myself, Cameron Roger, and Paul Smith alongside me. And Paul, as the drivers just get those last couple of minutes of practice before this second race. What are we going to be expecting from this second race? Do you reckon, is there going to be some nerves from the drivers in the mid-pack who now start from that pole position?
I think there will be a little bit of anxiety there. I think that some of the drivers who maybe are not used to being right at the front will just have to take a couple of deep breaths just to control those nerves. The conditions out there, the track temp, 39 degrees. The tyre, the front left tyre will not be liking that, because there are a lot of sweeping right-handers. You know, you think about it, turn 1, turn 3, turn 4, turn 9, turn 11, 12 and 13. They're all pretty long radius right-handers. That front left tyre is going to be screaming at the end of this race.
Yes, certainly, and that is going to be a big factor for how much you push, especially in the first couple of laps, because you want to be making up some places. But even in sort of a 10-11 lap race like we've got today, when you get to that final lap, you need to have that grip to be able to either overtake or hold on to the position. So that's certainly going to be a little bit of a factor, but we do see some aggressive driving. I'm sure we'll see some drivers just going flat out and just dealing with the slightly trickier car in those final couple of laps. But also, I think what we saw was in that first race was we saw some nice overtakes and we saw some desperate lunges a little bit further back. So if you can get somewhere, and sort of in the middle of that, that'll be a nice, nice one for race 2, where we can hopefully see some nice, clean racing once again. Although it's touring cars, and we'll always see a bit of door banging here and there.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, door banging is all right. It's the blatant up into the rear bumper, push people out of the way that we don't like to see. But yeah, door banging, a little bit of paint swapping, that's what touring car racing is all about, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that is why this format is so cool. And there's still something that's just different about touring cars. They're so unique compared to the sort of the prototypes, the GTs that you see all over the world. Touring cars, they still just end up being this slightly different format, this slightly different style of racing, and it's always going to bring you some action, as we're here, of course, for the first round of the season. But for race 2 of the night, we got Falconer taking that reverse grid pole with Scheller joining him on the front row. Williams and Gonzalez following behind, with Shirley and Pollard rounding out your top 6. Geisler and Reinhard, the two teammates there on the 4th row, with Dan Martin and Andy Schill just in behind for your top 10. Harris and Rodriguez round out your top 6 rows. Coming in 13th place, you've got David Baker. He got the fastest lap in that first race. Let's see if he can do that. Your pole sitter from the first race as well sets us there in 14th place, with Savilovic in 15th. Sedgwick and McFarlane, of course, rounding out your podium from the first race in P17, with Douglas just missing out on the reverse grid there in 18th place. Alexander House and Sakovic round out your top 20, with Jaworski in 21st place and Bickley in 22nd. Wittmann and Blackhall inside your top 24. Jimenez and Mulqueen, they gave us some nice battles in action. They're inside top 26. Weisshaft and Gilman inside your top 28. Harrods and Manners inside your top 30. And then on the final page, we're going to get Malcolm and Hussein, via Roberts, Nykamp and Sutherland. And there with Nykamp, that just showed you if you have a big crash, you're going to be going down the way and going to have to be coming up once again through this second race. Certainly going to be a difficult one for the drivers, as they have now got themselves onto the grid, and this is always a tricky one. Reverse grid pole, slower drivers go towards the front, faster drivers go towards the middle. That can always be some nice action, and there was some of your faster drivers a little bit further down, of course, McFarlane from 17th place. Let's see what race 2 is going to bring us here from Barcelona. The World Touring Car Series has got underway with some nice action, and what are we going to see in race number 2? Falconer gets away from the pole position. Everyone getting a pretty equal start in the first couple of rows, but I think there's that 5th place there of Shirley, who's trying to make his way up, and Dan Martin potentially there in that 5th and 6th place. Coming towards the first corner, Falconer's now going to be defending towards the inside with side-by-side quite a few rows all the way back in the midfield here. Bit of contact though for the 401 machine. That's going to be Sheila losing a place to Craig Williams now, who's going to be coming around the outside of turn number 3. Does he have enough speed to hold on to that overlap? As we now come through the very fast corner, the left tyre is going to be screaming already. Sheila defends on the inside as we're already getting it behind. We're getting Williams, we're getting Gonzalez, we're getting Shirley, all coming side by side into turn 4, but it looks like they're staying pretty close and pretty nice together.
Yeah, this is a good, solid start, and Faulkner, he needs to try and run away while he can make hay while the sun shines, because they're all tripping over each other further down, and that's Martin. He's had a heck of a start. He's gained 4 places in the start here as Martin. Damien Harris as well is up 4 places in this start. So that's what I was saying. You want to be aggressive here in the opening lap of this race, but you also don't want to get yourself caught up in anybody else's incidents out there.
Yeah, this is the important point of the race, because this is where everyone's close together, and this is potentially where you can make multiple places at once, as we're seeing, of course, the 2 teammates. We've got Geisler there going massively late on the brakes, diving it down the inside. Bit of contact. His teammate might be able to find a way through, but actually that's going to be chopped off there, and Pollard is going to be holding on to that one, but that was very, very late from Geisler, potentially returning the favour for Pollard, but contact isn't made, as Reinhardt is going to be now having to defend on the outside. That's going to be very difficult for him to do so. He's got Rodriguez diving it down the inside as well. Setsus is going to be diving it. Also 2 cars in one corner potentially. Reinhardt is going to hold it around the outside of that final corner, but I think he might just have to back out of that one.
Oh, look at that, just squirreling away on the curb on the corner exit, and it's giving a squeeze to set source there, and that was cooking by CSS car as, well, this field, I'll tell you what, it's nicely packed together, and it's given us some tremendous racing so far here in this second race. Lap number 2, and Ross McFarlane's trying to follow set source through there. He's up 4 places as McFarlane, set source up 3. So they're definitely moving forward in that one, but the big movers are Dan Martin and Damien Harris. They're progressing forward.
Yeah, the drivers just trying to work their way up the field is certainly a difficult one to do so, as we're seeing battles a little bit further back. Oh, Harris and Shirley have gone off the track there in turn number 4. They must be going side by side to both go off at the same time. Very difficult rejoin as well there, unfortunately. That's a load of places lost, as we're seeing also some drivers continue to battle. Pollard and Rodriguez battling there, McFarlane and Reinhardt as well. But first, we'll get to this replay. What is going to be happening up into turn 4?
So this is the move from Harris. That's a late move. Oh, the contact into the side of him, and the problem is he's turned himself on the front of Martin Shirley there, and he's had to wait on the outside of that turn number 4 until everybody has gone flying past. So he's all the way at the back. Oh, contact there from Craig Williams, and it's bye-bye into the gravel then for Scheller. And well, Douglas, I think, has followed them off as well in that gravel trap, but I think Scheller will have a few choice words about Craig Williams' move there.
Yeah, a few too late on the brakes, a few too many moves, I should say, late on the brakes there in towards turn 10, and that has allowed Faulkner to actually get away a little bit at the front, as we got a 3-way battle for second place. Williams there defending now. Dan Martin is doing such a good race so far. Can he get himself up into second place already just on this 3rd lap of the race? The number 17 machine is getting closer and closer now down to the inside. Later on the brakes is going to be, can he make it to the apex? Yes, he can. That's going to be getting a bit of a switchback there from Williams. Also Gonzalez is going to join the battle side by side through turn 3. Williams up the inside. You don't always see a dive up there. It's not easy flat out by any means. He'll be lifting off, and that will be a bit of a difference of speed as we now come up towards turn 4. Still side by side between the two. Dan Martin comes across, covers him off, and keeps on to that P2.
Tell you what, Gonzalez will be hoping that he doesn't have to use what his team's named after, the fast repair team. They hopefully, oh, there's the lunge to the inside of Williams, a little contact, a little puff of smoke there. That was fine. That's all fair in love and war between the two of them. He didn't just punt him off and having to just drop back behind Williams there. But these guys fighting is allowing Faulkner to move clear at the front. But I think now that Dan Martin's got ahead, I think he is going to be able to try and push on and get towards the lead. But here's what happened down in turn number 10, and I think Stefan Scheller may be a little bit aggrieved by this. Oh, Williams, wow, that was a little bit rude, and then bang into the side of him.
I mean, they were going left, they were going right, swapping places and position on the track. But yeah, Scheller, the door was definitely left open, but that was a little bit too late by Williams, unfortunately. Scheller now down into P7. Williams still in that P3 that he just got, because Dan Martin has got past, and Martin is already closing that gap to Faulkner. We're just saying Faulkner was getting a bit of a gap at the front, but that is slowly being closed down. We'll see how that one progresses. Gonzalez now on the back of Williams, coming down the front straight away. Is there going to be enough time for him to dive it down the inside? We've also got side by side in the background. This guy's just trying to make a move on Rodriguez a little bit further back. Guys in that P6. Rodriguez in that 35 car, I think, has kept that P5. So definitely some good battles here at Barcelona, and they do go up and down the field.
Dan Martin was half a second quicker on that last lap alone than Patrick Faulkner. So once he was able to get clear of Craig Williams, he's been able to get some clean air, and he's slowly reeling in Patrick Faulkner. But Faulkner realises as an AM, he's in the opportunity to get some really good points here. So he won't want to fight too hard, because if those two start fighting at the front, look at the queue of traffic that's going to catch up to them. So you want to be clever about it if you're Patrick and think, I can could get yourself some good points, but also keep a gap between us and the rest of the field. As well, Set Source down the inside of Scheller now to get the place there. Good debut for Geisler so far here for the Carla Esports team. They've only been racing TCRs for about 10 months as an outfit, so yeah, definitely not doing a bad job in this reverse grid race. As I think Veenman has actually had issues. Yes, he has. Oh, watch your rejoin.
And pass for the lead. Martin has been able to get past already in just about a lap, but Veenman there, unfortunately, he's had some contact coming out of the chicane, and as we come uphill towards turn 9, he is into the barrier. Let's see how this one, oh my god, so many cars on screen coming towards the chicane. There he is in the middle of the screen. He's got one ahead, he's got one behind. Is he going to be getting a little, 3 wide almost? And then it's his teammate eventually who makes the contact. Is there further contact? No, they managed to avoid him, but that is always such a difficult place. Got so many cars, everyone's fighting for a bit of position. That's such a difficult place to rejoin. I feel a little bit bad for him with that one. Not much he could do in that situation.
Yeah, certainly not. And it is difficult when you're facing the wrong way and you're trying to just, the blood is rushing. You're wanting to try and get on as quickly as possible. And yeah, it's just fortunately no contact made between any of those drivers. Now McFarlane has made the move once again on Set Source here. I think this is going to be quite telling throughout the rest of the season. I don't think Sindro will be appreciating Ross McFarlane. Oh, a little bit of rubbing between them. I don't think he'll appreciate McFarlane stealing his thunder here at Barcelona.
Well, Mercedes is going to try and come back through the hairpin. McFarlane does leave him the space on the apex, and that's going to be a nice run, actually. Scheller's potentially thinking about this. Says is going to be making that move, I would assume, coming in towards turn 7. And certainly, he has a nice, clean move up there down the inside. And now, it's going to be Scheller. Has a lovely view of this. McFarlane's going to have to back up that one. He's tried to get a little bit of a switchback, get a better run, but I think it's actually going to be Scheller who gets the best exit out of the 3 of them down this back straight. McFarlane defends to the inside, and Sesses gives the slipstream as well to Scheller. Around the outside is going to have to be in turn number 10, but McFarlane might just be able to hold on that. Yes, he can, as we're getting just behind. There's Pollard, who's of course been dropping down the way just a little bit in that P10, but great fights to see as we come back up towards the front of the field. Martin has gone off and is now the battle in behind for second place. Faulkner leads the way, but we've got Gonzalez, we've got Williams and Rodriguez following in close proximity.
I think Patrick Faulkner's got a slow down penalty here. He has. I thought he could have crossed the inside of turn 12 a little bit too much, and that's cost him. But the rest of the cars, they didn't realise that. They thought he was trying to give them the slipstream 3 wide into 1. Careful, drivers, as Craig Williams, the bravest of them all, down the inside. But now Gonzalez is trying to come back. This is sensational stuff here in the World Touring Car Series.
They love going for every move side by side through turn 3 as Gonzalez runs it out a little bit wide to try and slow Williams down. Of course, Rodriguez is waiting just in behind, still side by side in towards the braking zone. Gonzalez dives it up the inside of Williams, who's been P2, he's been 3, and now he might be P4 in the space of a couple of corners as Rodriguez tries to come across. No, he can't cover in towards turn 5. Williams does a good job under the brakes as well to get that car stopped and rotated. He keeps on that P3, but they've now got to look out because Geiser's caught back up into this battle as Faulkner is dropping further down the way. This reverse grid really showing you how you have to have some nice racecraft. You've got to attack or be attacked from behind, and as we come up the hill now, Rodriguez getting close once again.
This is sensational stuff, and do you know what? I was a little bit I wasn't convinced by having this track as the opening round of the championship because this circuit doesn't always produce the best racing. Well, that is not the case tonight because Esteban Rodriguez throws it to the inside and Craig Williams says, do you know what? You're that desperate to go down the inside? You can have it, mate.
Certainly can. Let's get a replay to see how this worked out. Of course, this is going to be the slowdown on the exit of the corner. And let's have a look with Williams. He's going to be getting very close, 3 wide as we come across the grids. And now Rodriguez is going to be there on the outside. But of course, Williams now going to be diving it to the inside, trying to make it 3 wide. The other way around, all over the grass. Kept his foot in, which is what we love to see. Couldn't quite get it stopped to the apex, and that let Gonzalez get the run around the outside eventually of turn 2 in towards turn 3. and they somehow finish up in this order, as you see. Guys that are coming in very late there in towards turn 2. Just look at the cars in behind. That's the teammate Reinhardt and Baker battling a little bit further back for P11. I think Baker just made that move into turn 1.
And all the while, Dan Martin must be looking in his rearview mirror going, oh, those cars behind are getting smaller and smaller in that mirror. And he's just been able to pull away because they've been fighting that last lap. They've been tripping over each other and slowing each other down. I mean, Dan Martin, that last lap, was 1.1 seconds faster than Alex Gonzalez, who's in second place right now. So that tells you how much that battling slowed them all down, as there goes the move down the inside for Wojciech Savinovic to get the place up to 14th for him, although Jack Sedgwick is going to try and come back, but decides against it.
Yeah, these guys not making as many moves as the likes of Setsis and McFarlane, up in P7 and P8. Still some half-decent points, but this isn't going to be what they want, where they're seeing potentially championship rivals a little bit further up. Of course, a long way to go in the season. These points are still going to count, and there's still a few positions to be had. 7 minutes to go now, and of course a 20-minute race around Barcelona. As of Falconer, he's dropped back. We've seen Setsis, McFarlane, Scheller get past. Can Pollard, his teammates, go around the outside of turn 11? Yes, he can, as there's potentially a little bit of a mistake from Faulkner there into the hairpin.
Yeah, not it's what we call in the business a suboptimal line there in that hairpin, and Setsos it was who made the move, and I think he's just decided, you know what, I'll give him the space here, and he's just put it a little bit too far wide. Is the contact? Oh, there is contact. He's helped into that position. So everything that I've just said, I'll take back. A little bit of a rub. Setsos gets by. Faulkner will be cursing him in all of this. I want to point out, Naveed Hussain, he didn't have the best race one. He's up 16 places in this race in that Wave Italy car. He can pedal, a touring car can Naveed. It's just getting things go his way and work his way through the field. He could be a dark horse if he gets a good reverse grid draw.
Yeah, he's shown great pace in the first couple of races. Unfortunately, obviously got a bit marred in that first race with the penalty. Let's hope he doesn't do that. As battle for second is continuing. Gonzalez in that second place. Rodriguez in behind. I think they swapped places slightly, but now Gonzalez goes back into that second place. And they're starting to pull away a little bit from Williams, the AM driver, just in behind as Garza tries to fight for that fourth place. But awesome battle for this second place. Martin has now got away by over 4 seconds. Easy victory is going to be as long as he keeps it on the tarmac in the final 3 laps of this race. But for this P2, that is going to be the focus, at least for the podium. Rodriguez, he's been close, but can he finally get into that second place? Not this lap around, but he's really starting to put the pressure on.
He's having to put the pressure on because we've only got 5 minutes remaining in this race. You're only looking at about 3 laps to go when they cross the line. So, yeah, time is just running out for these drivers, and they're going to have to just work their way through and try and get whatever they can. But with these cars, especially around this track with these temperatures, if you've been able to just look after your front tyres in the opening bit of the race, I mean 42 degrees track temperature, if you've been able to look after your front tyres, especially that front left, and be kind to them, you'll be so much quicker than the rest of your competitors. But because it's been so tight as we're going 4 wide into turn number 1, get ready to click this one, everyone, because this could be a major crash or a sensational move. Well, it's a good move, shall we say, for Jack Sedgwick.
Yeah, in the end it was just, I think Cedric was the only one who made a position. As you come back to P2, has Rodriguez finally made this move up the inside of turn 3 in towards turn 4 it's going to be. And yes, he has. He's got about a car length ahead of Gonzalez. So loads of places changing hands as we come into the final few laps of the race. They know this is the final couple of opportunities. They want to get this track position as Williams gets close in behind there as well. As Gonzalez now is reversed play. He's going to have to put the pressure on Gonzalez ahead in the position. Still keep on going. Faulkner's gone way further down, a little bit further back as well, as Jimenez, Hussain have got past him, Svidovic and Cedric have got past him. Svidovic now has got overtaken from Hussein as well. Awesome battles as he goes off the track through the chicane. Is there going to be any sort of slowdown? Doesn't look like so far, as Svidovic holds on to that place. Hussein momentarily got the place, but now they have swapped back once again. Now down this back straight, Hussein has made such good places so far already. Can he get himself up inside that top 15? Around the outside is going to have to be of turn 10, but Svidovic defends. He goes a bit deep though. Contact is made. There's further contact in the back. Jimenez is getting close in behind, but can Hussein hold on? Yes, he can.
I think Patrick Faulkner's just getting a little bit bullied now that he's in that mid-pack, and yeah, he's just dropping down the order, unfortunately for him, in this race. But it's where do you look in this one, because there is action aplenty all the way through the field. Well, apart from the leader, who's 4.7 seconds clear, so, oh, car running wide further back. Don't say that's Faulkner again. Dropping down, it is Faulkner. He's had an absolute nightmare of a lap, a 1:58.8 for Faulkner. He has had an absolute mare in this lap.
And Williams is not doing too great either. Setsus and McFarlane get past, I think, both into turn 1. So I think there's been a bit of an issue there as Williams returns some contact. I wonder if that's a sign.
Well,
there's a bit of a bump and run in towards... yeah, that's true. But maybe getting a little bit too friendly then. As a diving up the inside is going to be from Shelley. He's trying to make some places back this race. As 3 cars, bumper to bumper, even 4 cars in behind with Baker looking on side by side. Is going to be in towards turn number 5. Scheller once again a little bit late, has half a look up the inside, but not this time around, as we're starting to get maybe some desperate moves. Baker up the inside is going to be through the kink in towards the chicane. As Scheller maybe going back in position. Yes, he does.
Ever the opportunist there, David. He was patient, he waited, although not the best exit through the chicane, but you can't really make the move down the inside there. But he does make it hold. Now he'll want to get the slipstream of Craig Williams in front to help him pull forward. But Scheller, he won't give this one up. The Team Heusinkveld driver, he's a rapid driver and can certainly pedal that Elantra. It is the second best Elantra, no, third best Elantra, because Alex Gonzalez is out there in the Elantra himself as well in third place. So a real sort of mix-up of the field now that we've had that reverse grid. But we're going to be starting the final lap of this race.
McFarlane from 17th place has got himself up into 4th. One by one he's been picking them off. This is for now. He's got such a big gap ahead. He doesn't have any slipstream or anything to help him defend on this final lap. And it's going to be Geyser in behind chasing him down. And Setsus, of course, your pole man from what seems like quite a while ago now in that first race, down in that 6th place. Cedric and Reinhardt as well battling as they come into turn 1 for the final time for them. All bit of contact is going to be as Cedric can't find a way through.
It's all about just trying to get whatever positions you can now at the end of this race, and just get all that you can to try and get yourself the best points, but also the best possible reverse grid draw for you, because Cedric, if he finishes in 12th place, guarantees himself a reverse grid draw. If you finish 13th, you've got one opportunity to not get that reverse grid, so that's why it's important for him to make his way past Andy Shield.
And at the end of the day, you want to get as many points as you can. So position here could, be very important a bit later on in the season. And yet confirmed, final lap is going to be Martin lead the way by 5 seconds, but all the places in behind are what to, of course, we need to work out in the final couple of corners. Coming down in towards turn 10, is there going to be any last dive? Setsus to the outside is going to be on Geyser. Very difficult to attack the whole way around the outside, but he's going to try it. He's got alongside, but it's going to be Geyser defending up the hill, up towards turn 11, as he manages to hold on to that one just about. That should be P5. Very difficult to overtake in the final couple of corners, as we're also seeing a little bit further down some action. But in towards the final corner, Martin, he worked his way to the front, and he's going to be taking the second race victory of the evening by 5 seconds. What a dominant drive from Dan Martin. Rodriguez, it looks like, is going to be second in behind, but the place is further back. Is it, guys? It looks like it's just going to be as we come across the line, with Setsus following in behind with Williams, the top Am, Baker, Scheller, Pollard rounding out your top 10. Such a close finish here at Barcelona. Look at all the cars. Great to see the reverse grid working really, really well. And of course, your race winner from last time, P17 to P4 for Ross McFarlane. Across the line for the last couple of drivers, just show you how hard they're pushing. Almost a photo finish a little bit further back, but Weishaupt, I think, just held on to that one.
Yeah, just ahead of Pete Harrod there at the end. And, well, Rob Sutherland, he finishes 31st, but he'll be a very happy team boss with Dan Martin getting that win for RD Sim Sport. So he'll be delighted with that result for his peddler. And, well, Alexander House will be the last driver to get himself across the line to get our official results. But what a drive! The man who did so much in the AM Championship last season, Dan Martin, well, he set his stalls out in the Pro Championship in this round of the Championship.
Yeah, he's going to be absolutely loving that one. Had such good pace as well. Able to pull away by 5 seconds is certainly difficult to do so with just how close, for instance, we saw that first race with all the top drivers together, and that's some good points gained as well on some of the other drivers. But let's get the spinny wheel for the third and final race. One more to go. What is the reverse grid pole going to be? It's going to spin, and it's going to spin P12 to P24 or anywhere in between. What are we going to see for the final race of the evening? It's going to be P22. So that's quite nice. That's also a large number. So loads of drivers to be reversed from that one. So we'll when we go through the results, we'll confirm who that's going to be on the reverse grid pole. But once again, that's going to be a comeback drive needed, which is almost a negative of winning the races, but that's why we love this format. Confirmation on screen, Dan Martin taking victory by 5 seconds from Esteban Rodriguez, and Gonzalez following him in behind. That was an awesome battle on the screen. Ross McFarlane getting up into P4, guys, and sets us, giving us some good battles on that final lap too, with Craig Williams best am in P7. Baker, Scheller and Pollard round out your top 10 after being in that battle the whole race. Reinhardt and Cedric inside your top 12. We got Schiel and Svidovic there in 14th place. Just able to hold on from Hussein in the end, who gave it a good go, but he has an awesome race, pretty much from the back again, to jump up to P15. Jimenez and Gilman, Douglas follow in behind. Blackhall and Shirley round out your top 20. Nykamp, he has a bit of a better race, a bit of a recovery drive up into P21. Bickley and Harris following behind. Faulkner, who unfortunately just went backwards and backwards during that race. He ends up in that 24th place, 20 seconds off the lead. Mulqueen and Jaworski in P26. Sekovitz in P27. Manners, Weishaupt and Harrod. We're very close finish there for your top 13. On your final page, we got all the AM drivers. Sutherland, Via, Roberts, Veenman, who of course had that spin that we saw on screen. Malcolm and House rounding out your drivers, and Svidovic gets the fastest lap with a 52.8 on that lap 10. So a bit slower, if I remember. It's into the 51s in that first race. So definitely some hotter conditions, making that race ever more tricky, Paul. And we still saw some nice battles during that race. So yeah, definitely a good showing for this championship for what we're going to see for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and do you know what? If this keeps up as it has done in this opening round, we are in for an absolutely sensational season of the World Touring Car Series here on RaceSpotTV. Absolutely tremendous stuff from those drivers out there. A little bit of contact out there, but with how close the cars are and how close the drivers are, unfortunately contact does happen. I think Patrick Faulkner did get a little bit bullied out there. Once he lost those first few places, he then sort of started getting bullied and was dropping down the order a bit. So he'll be looking to just try and get a bit of a stronger finish in that final race, because he showed in race 1 that he can make positions forward, Ken Patrick, for the DCW Racing outfit.
Yeah, it's one of those things when you show a bit of vulnerability, all the cars behind just start taking that opportunity and you lose a bit of momentum. You get another one come past, and when everyone's following in a bit of a train, it's certainly quite difficult to do so. But what about Ross McFarlane as well? Had a solid race 1. And even with the reverse grid, managed to get up, into the top 5 with a P4 finish. That is going to be him, looking really good in the championship. Can he do it again? Obviously, he'll be sort of about 18th place. He's going to be starting in this race, so he's got to do it all again. A little bit further back.
This is the strong point of Ross. And this is something that really works well for Ross, is his ability to work through a grid. As I say, it's that experience of knowing what it's like to work through a reverse grid draw and to get those results. This is why he wins so many championships in series like this. It's not so much the opening race where he seems to get a good result in the top 3 as always, winning the opening race here today, but to get himself up into the top 5 in the second and even the third race, that is where he gets himself championships.
Yeah, it's that consistency that we're looking out for. And Setsus as well actually had a pretty decent race, couple of places behind. I think it's P6 he ended up there. So certainly those two drivers seem to be standing out at this moment in time, especially making up those places in that second race. We saw Savidovic struggling just a little bit. I think about 14th place he ended up. So definitely some points lost. And I just wonder how they're going to be able to come back in this third race to try and get some points off McFarlane and sets us up ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this final race. With it being 22nd as the reverse grid, it's one of the biggest that we can have. I think Nykamp could be in for a good shout in this final race because he had that difficult first race. He's then come through the field. He's going to be starting on the front row. He could be a good shout. Navid is saying, we've been seeing it all night that he can make places forward. He's going to be starting on row number 4, row number 5 of this race. Now we're going to get to see what he can do up towards the front of the field.
Yeah, certainly. And of course, the drivers, they've had a bit of experience now of how lap 1 goes, which is one cool thing of doing multiple races at the same track, is that you get a bit of a feel for it and you can work out where you can take some risks. And by race 3, hopefully, you know where the crashes and where the sort of bottlenecks happen on that first lap. But of course, it's never easy to, overtake as such around this track. Certainly a little bit, of one of the harder tracks on the calendar. So I wonder how that is, of course, going to translate later on. I wonder, Paul, just your opinion. What do you think of how this track is playing out and how you think it's going to be compared to some of the other tracks later on in the season?
I'll be honest with you. Like I said, partway through that second race, I was a little bit apprehensive as to whether we'd get good racing here at this track because it is notorious for not producing the best racing, shall we say. But tonight has just completely blown that wide open and that theory out the water. Jerez, it's quite a new track to iRacing. A lot of the drivers maybe don't know it. It's not a track that you know really from Grand Prix racing. It's more of a MotoGP venue for that. So there's going to be a lot of drivers learning that circuit, and it's quite a technical circuit as well. Is that one? Just don't go do the try the Michael Schumacher move on down there. But that could be an intriguing night, and there's quite a few sort of slow speed corners there, overtaking opportunities. You could see some dives. So you never know with that venue. But later on in the season, places that you mentioned, Imola, that can be a tricky one to overtake out in touring cars. But Watkins Glen, that's a slipstream fest around there. And you've got the 3 touring car tracks at the end of the season where everybody knows what to do in these cars.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be an exciting season. But of course, we have the third race as well. So let's take a little bit of a break, have some message from our sponsors. Then we'll be back to bring you up for the final race of the evening. What an evening we are having here at Barcelona. The first two races of the evening have been complete. We've had Martin and McFarlane taking the first two races, but we still have one final race to go. Of course, reverse grid P22 it was this time around, and so 22 places reversed. That is going to add all sorts of carnage on this first couple of laps. Myself, Cameron Roger, and Paul Smith taking you through the action today. And Paul, has certainly been a nice way to start the season. We've seen some great battles, awesome side-by-side moves, and once again as we hit 40 degrees Celsius, it's going to be hot and sticky to finish the evening.
Yeah, once again that track is going to be quite toasty for those drivers, but the advantage of that is it is actually very similar to the conditions that they had in race number 2, so the drivers will have that in that mind, in their minds there, as to how the car felt in that one, and think, right, okay, I maybe can push a little bit harder in the early going. Maybe somebody took it a little bit too easy and lost places because of that, or maybe somebody pushed too hard, burnt out their tyres, and then were just having to hold on for dear life to try and get themselves a good finishing position. So definitely a challenge for those drivers out there. As we mentioned, that front left tyre will not be happy by the end of tonight.
Now, I wonder actually if that was a bit of a thing for McFarlane in that previous race, because in the final 2 or 3 laps, he pretty much went from about 8th, 9th up into that 4th place. He made most of his moves, in quite quick succession at the end there. So I wonder if that was a bit of a factor in those last couple of laps, was that, tyre life. It's definitely quite a big point around here, as you were saying in the previous race, and it's definitely something that the top drivers are going to be focusing on, is keeping those tyres in check to have, a lot more pace. It'll be, even seconds a lap by the end of it.
I don't know about seconds, but certainly like half a second, 3/4 of a second could be as drivers having a little bit of fun and blowing off a bit of steam in the practice session. This is just the final quick warm-up for these drivers before the final race of the evening, which will be coming up in about a minute or so's time. But yeah, definitely it could well give you that advantage in those last couple of laps if you do look after that front left tyre to give you that little bit of extra pace on each lap.
Yeah, and of course the reverse grid swaps things around quite a lot. We had obviously it's basically a double reverse grid, so potentially if you couldn't make places back, you're now going to be elevated once more back to the front, like you would have been in that first race. And as we said, it was the 22nd place that was chosen by the random spinny wheel. So that's one of the bigger numbers. But here is the grid for today. It's going to be Stuart Bickley taking away from pole position with Nykamp. He's had an interesting day, but he now goes from the front row. Shirley and Blackwell take on your second row, with Douglas and Gilman rounding out your top 6. A lot of AM drivers there up towards the front as well. Look out for some nice points finishes for them potentially. Jimenez and Hussein start inside your top 8, with Savidovic and Schill inside the top 10. Sedgwick and Reinhardt round out your first 6 rows of the grid. 13th place is going to be Mickey Pollard with Sheila. He's had an interesting afternoon so far in 14th place. Baker and Williams inside your top 16, with Setsus and Geisler rounding out your top 18. And there's Ross McFarlane, winner of that first race, now down in 19th place. Gonzalez and Rodriguez in behind, and in your winner from last race, Dan Martin inside your top 22. Harrison Faulkner inside your top 24. Unfortunately, Faulkner dropped down too many places outside of that top 22 reverse. Mulqueen in 25th and Yurovsky in 26th. Sikovitz and Manners inside your top 28, with Weishaft and Harrod rounding out your top 30. Sutherland and Via with Roberts and Veman, and your final row of the day is going to be Malcolm and Alexander House inside your top 36. For this final race of the evening, the first round of the season for the World Touring Car Series. It's been an interesting one. We still have one final race to find out who is going to get the final victory of the evening. Is it going to be from that front row? Is it going to be someone coming up from behind? Let's find out as the drivers grid up and get ready. Of course, it's always interesting to see some of the potentially slower drivers starting up the front. How can they navigate this first corner? It's going to be Stuart Bickley there from the front row of the grid. How is he going to get away for this final race of the season as the lights come on and they rev it up? Is going to be Nijkamp there from second place as well. Who can get the better start? Looks like it's going to be Bickley trying to come across and cover already down this front straight away. Third place there is Martin Shirley getting a decent run. They've got a bit of a gap actually to the cars behind. Bickley's going to take the outside line now, so Nijkamp can actually have an attack down here in towards turn number 1 from 4th place. It's going to be Backhaul as well, going side by side in towards turn 3. Bickley goes wide though. A bit of contact is made as we're going to see Nijkamp jump up towards the front and take the lead.
Oh, there was a Carla car off in the background of the shot then. It's Reihart who's ended up into the kitty litter, but we stay green flag racing for the time being because Bickley is coming back and contact! Oh no! Contact between him and Nijkamp. Now, was that Bickley just coming across the nose of Nijkamp there, or was it... well, we'll find out. Oh, is that Nijkamp?
Oh, the absolute scenes here to start the race. It is Nijkamp 3 wide coming in towards turn 5. More contact on the exit. That's Hussein. He's had a great start from P8. He's got up into about 5th place there already. 3 wide coming in towards the braking zone for the next corner. Turn 6. More contact being made. Oh, one of the cars being turned around there. Is that Cedric potentially getting spun around as the drivers try and work their way in towards a bit of a single file formation. Oh no, more contact on the exit. More cars sliding. And this is absolute chaos here to start race 3. Race 2 wasn't so bad, but race 3 is going from bad to worse.
Welcome back to the World Touring Car Series, everybody. This is, unfortunately, everybody's had race number 1 and 2 to find how each other race, and now the gloves are off, and people are just getting a little bit too excited here on lap number 1, but as they calm themselves down and get themselves into some form of single file, it's been a chaotic opening to this race, and I think Ian Manners has had issues out there as well with Alexander House. They're stopped out on track. Scott Malcolm stopped as well. It's been absolute carnage as one of the Pure Sims cars goes off into the gravel. I think it might have been Baker.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think it was Baker's dropped down with side by side a bit further back. Absolute scenes here on this first lap as the drivers still try and get themselves into a single file formation, but they can't do so. They know the positions are up for grabs, and coming in towards the reg zone for turn 1, we got Gonzalez there, sorry, Rodriguez actually I should say, taking the lead of that battle. And this is so crazy. These drivers, they're just battling for everything, and of course when you get the reverse grid, you get slower drivers going to the front, potentially fast drivers trying to make their way through, and it becomes very difficult indeed. Coming up towards turn 4 though, as the drivers, the battles are still continuing. They're trying to just take every opportunity they can. We've got more cars going wide. There is Gonzalez dropping in behind his best mate Rodriguez. They had an awesome battle in the previous race, as there's a little bit of contact further back as well. They still can't calm down even on lap 2.
Yeah, this is very much a bit of carnage involved in this one, and everybody's gone a little bit loopy with how hot the conditions are out there. But yeah, get yourselves calmed down and sorted out, and just get into some sort of rhythm. The tricky thing about the opening lap here is those quicker drivers that are having to work their way through. You've got to show a degree of patience as well. You can't just push your way through in all of this. You do have to show that patience. But looking back at lap 1 then, and it's that fight for the lead that was a big key one for that with Nijkamp and Bickley. But it was 3 wide through 2 into 3, and this is where it all started descending into chaos. But it's that lead 2. This is what we're focusing on. How did they get themselves into that position? Bickley's coming across. Oh, they're both coming into each other's line. So you've got the Nijkamp coming off of the left, heading towards the corner, and Bickley was coming across to the left a bit more. So I'm sure the stewards will be having a look at that one post-event.
Yeah, Bickley was definitely moving back over to the left, of course trying to open up the corner but it is a sort of a long turning corner as such. You're really turning quite early for it, and yeah, unfortunately Nykamp there just making some contact as we come back to the front three. So Blackwell has got the lead, Douglas is in behind with Nykamp, Hussein is in 4th place, Shirley now down into 5th as they try to finally calm down and take a bit of sense of this race. Already 5 minutes gone, 15 to go. So side by side further back, Cedric getting past Shell in towards that hairpin. And on the exit, it's going to be McFarlane trying to get up the inside as well. Shell goes down another place, 2 places lost in just one corner as McFarlane once again is having a great start, already up inside, well inside the top 10.
Yeah, and again, it's showing that experience. He's got a degree of patience as well as his ability of being able to move through a field in the early going here as Ross. He's a rapid driver, but we mentioned it, it's that consistency that he has that does himself really well in a championship like this. He's with Jack Sedgwick now, and they're looking forward to Mike Pollard, Jimenez, and also Shirley in front of them. So Wayne Douglas, new name to the series, 2nd place. He'll be delighted with that as an AM driver, but it's not going to be easy when you've got Nykamp behind, who will be a little bit fired up for this final race.
As I think we're side by side for the lead. Yes, we were. Douglas and Blackwell going side by side. They're miles away from each other coming down this front straight. Douglas is going to be able to hold on to that one. Blackwell drops down into that 2nd place, and Nykamp in behind. So Douglas, such a good job so far this race. Absolutely loving that one and making a move for the lead. That's what he's going to be wanting to see. And the AM drivers are so spread out as well. Great points. Up the inside is going to be Hussein trying to get himself up onto the podium. Remember, he was at the back at one point, and that is just how the reverse grids work. Coming up now towards turn number 4. Can he keep P3? Up the inside is going to be Nykamp round the outside. He's going to try and hold it. He certainly is, but Hussein is going to be pushing him out wide as we come towards turn number 5, and it's going to be Nykamp now all the way around the outside, which will turn to the inside for turn number 6. Still side by side between the two. Great racing as they give each other room, they give each other space. Nice fair fight, but in the end it's going to be Hussein up onto the podium.
This one isn't done yet. Don't you worry about that. Jake Blackhall is all over the back of Wayne Douglas, by the way, as well for the lead. So this race lead, it's a 5-car train, possibly 6-car trains as well, because you've got Douglas, Blackhall, Hussein, Nykamp, Shirley and Jimenez involved in this one. And the front two, they're going absolutely hammer and tongs with each other. Blackhall's just running a little bit wide, and Hussein, Dr. Naveed Hussein says, thank you very much, I'll go down the inside, but Blackhall will not give this one up.
Got late on the brakes into P11, or turn 11 I should say, side by side through the final couple of corners. Who is going to back out of this one? Looks like it might be Hussein. I know he doesn't, he's going to keep it there. Oh, he's going to spin around. Blackhall goes around in towards the gravel, into the barrier. Could see that coming from a mile away. When you get contact of the rear end of a front wheel drive car, it's so difficult to defend and come back from, as Nykamp gets up into 2nd place now. Down the front straight is going to be for Hussein now in towards the braking zone is going to be side by side. Who's going to brake later? It looks like to be Nykamp down the inside, but also around the outside. Here comes Hussein. He might be a little bit more contact. He might be looking in the steward's office for one move, but that one was a little bit more clean.
Blackhall's had to park the car and take it back to the pits. It got too much damage, and he's had to take a dirt tour back to the pit lane. And well, we're almost going 4 wide further back in this top 10. It's getting a bit balmy out there, is this one. This has been a crazy old race as the start of this one, so definitely intriguing to see how this one. Oh, and the 2 cars get together. Andy Shield, and that's the 73 of Mike Pollard. The 2 AMs get together, and well, 2 into 1 does not go.
Absolute chaos here in this race, unfortunately. Let's have a look at what happened, and you see, I mean, to be honest, he was all over the curb, and Blackhall knew that, but he didn't give any more space to Hussein. I know that is sort of the line using the curves, but definitely Blackhall there, they still had a bit of an overlap, and I don't know if there's too much Hussein could do that. A massive send down the inside from Nykamp as well, as that would have been a potentially 3 wide situation. Very difficult one as I said, once you get some contact on the rear end, it's so difficult to save it. Let's see this contact, and yeah, once again, you turn into that right-hand side, and then there's pressure put, and the car just can't turn left anymore, and the 007 there goes off into the barriers. Even though he's turning left, the car's been pushed and turning right.
Both Pollard and Shield have got the meatball flags. That's the black and orange flag, and therefore they are having to go into the pits. Shield decided to take the tow back to the pits. Pollard will be heading down to pit road himself in just a few moments' time. In this series, they do get a fast repair. They do get one free repair in this series, so it does encourage drivers to carry on and keep going in these races. Going back to the Blackhall incident, I will say he is somebody who races from Australia, and you do have to take that into account, both himself but also other drivers racing around him. You know, they have to take that into account, that he's going to have a longer what's known as a ping, so a bigger ping than everybody else, and that's just going to mean that he's effectively got a little bit of a bubble around him, where the sim has to calculate through what is effectively known as netcode, and unfortunately, if they do get a little bit too close together, there can be some sort of ghost contact involved there.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more difficult to judge in those situations, and it's very unfortunate. But the battles do continue up towards the front, and Hussein now, who managed to continue racing after that incident, got himself up into P2, and he now, after the incredible speed that he's shown this race, is looking to get the lead. It's Douglas defending though from the front, diving up the inside into turn 11. It's going to be for the 54 machine. Can't quite make it through there, but he's got a Nijkamp coming in behind, and Cedric as well. So he needs to try and make these moves, otherwise he's going to be defending himself. And I wonder just how long Douglas is going to be able to hold on to this one. It's going to be difficult for him to do so to get this race victory, but we are coming up very quickly towards halfway in this race as the drivers all go off into the gravel, coming through this final corner. Hussein a little bit further back, actually, had a bit of a bad run through the final couple of corners. Nijkamp getting a bit closer, but I don't think he's quite close enough to make a move into turn 1.
Now, one advantage that Douglas does have is that Honda is a really good chassis on it, and going through that last corner, he actually pulled away from Naveed Hussein, so he was able to get a little bit of a gap there between the two of them, and that's going to help him going into turn number 1. But the thing is here is that now it's a case of, right, the rest of the track, that's going to be the tricky part for Wayne, but right now, new to the series, he's doing a good job at the front, and dive to the inside from Jack Cedric, saw an open door and said, thanks mate, I'll take that.
Yeah, nice, clean but aggressive move there for P3. He's going to be absolutely loving that one, because that is one place closer to this victory. As Hussein still can't find a way past. Douglas doing a good job defending so far, but how long can he hold on? Of course, being an AM driver, this is very important points as well. Look at the gaps. He's got Shirley in P7, and then Gilwin in P15. This is going to be a huge points gap. If he can hold on to this one, even if he keeps it on the podium, that's going to be a great result from him. And also, he made that move for the lead himself. He got himself into that position, as here comes Cedric on the exit of turn 10. A massive run is going to be in towards turn 11, all the way round the outside. Can he hold on to that one for P2? That is going to be impressive if he does. Hussein side by side in towards P11. We saw what happened when he went side by side previously, but they go back in towards single file to come into the final corner.
But Cedric doing that has just taken Hussein's attention off of the race lead, and that's allowing Douglas to once again, that good run through the final corner, really helping Douglas to keep this lead at the front. But Hussein now is under some serious pressure from Jack Cedric. Cedric is a hard charger, so too is Hussein, so expect no quarter asked and none given between the two of these two.
Yeah, they are pushing to the absolute limit, which is what we love to see, as there's, of course, Cedric now trying to get the run through turn 3. Can he get any closer towards turn 4? No, it's a little bit further back, actually, this time around by about car length. He's following in behind late on the brakes there for Hussein, at least compared to Douglas. But Cedric gets really good sort of mid-exits off the corners. He's all over the back bumper now, coming in towards turn 5. But once again, Hussein later on the brakes, and it's Cedric who catches up at the apex of the corners. So slightly different driving styles happening between the two. Scheller's dropping down the way a little bit further back as well. He's gone off. Oh no, that is into the barriers potentially as well. So more contact for the 401 this evening.
That's down at the hairpin at turn number 5. So he's obviously had some assistance down there into that corner. So definitely not the night to remember for Scheller, but it's a learning experience in a series like this. But he's always got next week to come at it. It's early going in this championship, so don't write this one out. And don't forget, there are drop scores for this championship as well, so if you do have a bad week, it's not the end of the world for your championship.
Yeah, that's always an interesting addition as well. As you say, you can sort of afford to have a bad round, but you want that round to be sort of a one that you choose rather than one that's not by your choice as such. As in, you want it just to be the worst result rather than you having basically DNFing in all 3 races. It's certainly a tricky one to have good races in all 12 rounds of the season, as here comes Cedric once again towards the first corner, a little bit further in behind though actually. I think I can't quite see who that was. There's definitely a bit of a move. It's Savidovic there for 6th place, getting up past Jimenez. So he's making some decent progress so far. He's the number 80 machine. He's got a little bit of a gap now to McFarlane if he wants to get up inside that top 5. But certainly some progress is being made from him.
Speaking of progress, McFarlane's gained 14 places in this race. It's been a tremendous one from him. Cedric looking to the inside, almost a rub. Oh, there is a bit of a rub between the two of them. And well, that's just going to bring Nijkamp onto the back of them here. Ross McFarlane's going to join the party. Cedric and Hussein absolutely neck and neck. Douglas, run away while you can, Wayne. Get as much of a gap because these two are going to slow each other up here.
Certainly are. Hussein, who actually gets a bit of a bad run all the way around the outside for the number 10 machine, and here comes Nijkamp to try and get both of them, but not to be, in towards turn 9. They still go side by side, and there's Hussein all the way around the outside. It's going to be as they try and work their way, almost it's going to be 3-4 wide, thinking about it towards turn number 10. We have Hussein on the inside, Cedric on the outside, and we also have to look out for McFarlane in the background, but he's had a bad exit. Up towards turn 11 is going to be Cedric holding on the inside. And as you say, Douglas is just getting away because of this. Hussein around the outside of turn 11 now. Can he get the run up towards the penultimate corner? But here comes Nijkamp actually down the inside. Is going to be absolute certainty with just a few laps to go in this race. And here comes McFarlane. It's going to be Hussein losing potentially 3 places, as here's Savidovic to make it 4 down the front straight.
McFarlane wants to avenge his teammate Jake Black. Oh, that's an aggressive move from Hussein off of the curb into the side of Blackhall. Here comes Savidovic now. They're going to go 3 wide into 1. Who's going to be the one to blink? I think it'll be Savidovic down the inside. Can he get that move stuck? The answer is not quite, but again, that's just allowing Hussein to pull away. Oh! Hip shoulder and away. Well, that's definitely dropped McFarlane down the place, and he's got all that hard work to do again.
It's a shame for McFarlane. He was doing a good job, but unfortunately just getting in with some aggressive drivers, as Jimenez couldn't quite make that move. Setsis in the background is also making some places. Baker has come through Shirley as well. 2 minutes to go in this race, a couple of laps left here at Barcelona. Final race of the evening, and they know it's a final opportunity to get points. We're almost 3 wide there, coming in towards the hairpin of turn 5, as there is Gonzalez and Rodriguez having their battles, as they have continued quite often this evening, as of course there is Martin just in behind with his teammate Shirley. Martin, of course, your race 2 winner, bumping over the curb as they come up the hill once again. And this is so difficult for these drivers. You literally make the slightest mistake and you've got 2 or 3 drivers coming past you.
Shirley can't be serious. I had to get that one in whilst I could, but yeah, it's been really tricky, and you can so easily get freight trained. We saw that Hussein losing 2 places, nearly 3 spots in all of that. Savidovic did a fantastic job, I will say, of getting the move done on McFarlane. McFarlane will be feeling a little bit aggrieved by that little bit of a hip check down the start-finish straight off of corner exit here from Hussein. It was a very aggressive move to the right-hand side from Hussein, and I think that just compromised McFarlane down the straight that allowed Savidovic to go through. But Wayne Douglas, he's only got half a second gap now, but we're on to the last lap here. Just one more lap to hold on, and we could have an AM winner in our opening round of the championship.
We certainly could, and his next best rival is MP12 with Shirley, so this is going to be huge points, but I think the win is more on his mind at this moment in time, but it is also for Cedric. The number 10 machine gets a decent exit there out of turn 3, trying to put the pressure on, but just, of course, a few corners left in this race where he can actually realistically make an overtake. Cedric almost pushing Douglas as we come through turn 4, and that means that 9cap is going to get an awesome run around the outside. He's going to have to be for turn 5, so he's going to have to back out of that one, try and get a bit of a switch back, but Cedric, he's definitely got the pace here. I wonder if Douglas is feeling the nerves now, tries to block him off. Down the inside is going to be for the lead as Cedric takes it with just half a lap to go. Douglas has put on a great performance so far this race, but it looks like that Cedric is potentially going to be taking the victory. 9cap up the inside of turn 9, not this time around. Can Douglas do anything in towards turn 10 for the final time? He's a little bit further back, but we've seen some sense today in towards this corner. Cedric brakes nicely, holds on to that apex just about. Hussein in the background gets 9cap as well, so Hussein actually knows he's going to drop back as Savidovic now out of nowhere is going to come try and get his own place around the outside. He's going to have to be for turn 11. Great battles here to finish the evening at Barcelona. Who is going to get these final places inside the top 5? Hussein is in 4th place up the inside as there's McFarlane. He's trying to come back side by side in towards the final corner. Savidovic, he makes it around the outside of the fast and flowing nature of this track. But Cedric is going to hold on for the final time to take the final race win of the evening. Douglas in 2nd place, 9cap in 3rd. Savidovic gets that 4th place ahead of Hussein, and McFarlane in 6th place. What a final lap, what a final sector from those drivers, giving us awesome side-by-side battles right to the very end.
Semper Racing will be delighted with that for them. 2nd and 4th in that particular race. I mean, Wayne Douglas will be, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, to be honest, but he shouldn't be. That was a tremendous display from him of keeping some faster drivers behind him, and to be able to race on and to be able to get himself a podium place in his debut in the championship. So yeah, definitely good result for Wayne Douglas, and it is the top AM driver in this 3rd race of the evening. Just a couple of drivers left to finish in this race, but it was a little bit messy at the start of this one, I think it's safe to say, but my goodness, what exciting racing we got there towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I was, to be honest, I was a bit worried at that first lap. It wasn't the prettiest thing that we've seen in sim racing, unfortunately, but it definitely got a lot better from that, and the battling towards the front was insane, just showing you how you can have some nice, hard and aggressive but nice racing at the same time, especially in this series. So great start to the season. There were some nice, fun 3 races, but here is the results for the final race of the evening. Sedgwick and Douglas inside your top 2 by just a quarter of a second. 9cap Savidovic, they're inside your top 4. Hussein and McFarlane inside your top 6. Jimenez and says Baker and Rodriguez rounding out your top 10, but just 4 seconds back, showing you how close this field is. But it doesn't stop there, because Gonzalez, Shirley and Martin were inside that massive train, pretty much top 13 were all in. A little bit of a gap back to Craig Williams, Gilman, Sakovic and Mulqueen. There is a very important battle in the AM Championship. Scheller unfortunately dropped down once again. More issues this evening, pretty much in all 3 races for the Team Hoisingveld driver. Harrod and Jaworski rounding out your top 20. Then Bickley from the pole position down into the barriers in turn 4 and ended up in P21. Sutherland and Via just in behind him, with Geisler, Harrison, Weisshaft inside your top 26. Falconer, Pollard, Reinhardt and Manners rounding out your top 30. And then On your final page, we've got House, Wienman, Malcolm Shield, Blackwell, Blackhall, I should say, who of course got spun there, coming in towards the final corner, 7 laps down with Roberts, your final driver, and it was McFarlane on lap 6 with a 53. So as the races went on, the fastest lap got slower and slower. Such is the racing that we've seen. But Paul, that was just a hectic and chaotic evening of racing, pretty much what we expected, but we definitely saw the talent come through, the likes of McFarlane getting up towards the front of all 3 races.
Yeah, and as I said, that shows the experience of the driver that is able to make his way through in all 3 races. I'm just looking at the timing screen. I mean, Jack Sedgwick gained 10 places to win that race. A little bit gutted for Wayne Douglas, if I'm honest. He put on a tremendous display at the front of that field for the majority of the race. I mean, Sindri Setsource, again, another driver who moved forward through the field to finish in the top 10 along with Rodriguez as well. So there are players that there are drivers who really sort of come through and are able to get those results for them, but it's that level of consistency right through the night that wins you a championship.
Yeah, and of course, we still got 11 rounds to go. So there's a lot of driving, a lot of racing, a lot of lap ones to come into play. And we definitely saw a massive multiple massive crashes there on this first lap of this final race. And to be honest, I'd hope that we see a little bit cleaner racing, but to be honest, that's kind of what you expect. And I wonder, Paul, do you think it's going to get better than that as we go through the season, or are the drivers just going to be, putting everything on the line at all occasions?
I think what has helped with this opening round of the championship is it is such a big wide track that there is a bit of space out there. When you come to some of the tracks that we've got coming up in the series, they're a bit narrower of those tracks. I'm thinking of Watkins Glen through the S's. Traditionally, without a fail, there is a massive crash at the top of the S's. It is just a fact that it happens at least in one of those races. So it is when you get to those tracks, it's how those drivers have adapted their driving in and around traffic. Because a lot of drivers who are new to the series, they're not used to how intense the racing is, with how close pack racing is here on the road side of things. If you come from the world of oval, NASCAR, pack racing, that's the norm. Not so much in road racing, so I think anybody new to the series, they will just be getting themselves used to and acclimatised to how everyone races here.
And of course we go to Jerez next, which is quite a, in some ways, similar style of track. It's got the long sweeping corners, a couple of tight and twisty ones as well. Before we start sort of opening up the legs a little bit of these cars with Monza and Imola, even Indianapolis, road course has quite a few straights. So it's definitely going to be slightly different driving styles that the driver's going to have to do throughout the season. And of course, with the tracks changing quite a lot, the setup and the way you attack the races is going to have to change as well.
I think Monza is going to be an intriguing one for me. I think that could potentially be an interesting one before we go into one of our breaks, because of course the races are all put into sort of 3-race blocks, 3-round blocks, before we then have a week off and then it all starts again. But I do believe we've actually got one of our drivers is come to join us, and it is the driver who finished in first place in race number 2, Dan Martin. Dan, I mean, how was that for you? Opening round of the championship and you get a race win.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay? I don't know if I haven't used this for a while. How good. Yeah, buzzing. Bit of contact throughout some of the races though, so I have apologised to the guys I hit. That was just me lacking a bit of talent, I think. But no, race 2 was absolutely mega for the first race as a pro. I'm so happy.
Well, that's it. How have you found this? I know it's only the opening round of the championship and it's first day of school for everyone, but yeah, how have you found this transition from being an AM last season to now coming through and being put in with the pros?
If I'm honest, it feels like there's a bit of pressure off, because the pros are the pros and they are so quick, and I'm not expected to be up near the front. If I'm honest, I set myself a modest goal. I'm here to really bring Martin on in the AM, so we've just been putting a bit of time in this week, which has been good fun. And it's just, you know, practice what you preach, try and keep calm in the race, and just see where we end up. It's just good fun. I've missed this league.
I don't think my heart misses racing in this league personally, but I will say though, how did you find it then? You know, opening laps of these races. I mean, race 3 was a bit chaotic, but races 1 and 2 they seemed busy but clean races. How was it for you out there involved in all of that?
I can't really remember race 1 now. It was just about making sure I didn't get a bit of oversteer in the early laps and then getting freight trained by everyone. So going forward on the bias helped a bit. I think I got a slowdown from memory now in race 1, which didn't help things. Race 2 was just picking off some of the guys, got ahead of Patrick, then thought Patrick was going to just follow me. But then I saw he defended from Craig, remembering they're both AM. So I assumed then to get my head down, which I did, which helps. I think race 3, I had an absolute mega start and then just unfortunately got took out a few times from behind. It was just that conveyor belt sort of effect, if you know what I mean. So, you know, I had an unfortunate incident with Damien. I don't know if he continued or not. I hope he did. I just got sort of stuck to his rear bumper, and I backed out of it. He backed out of it. Had a wobble when I was praying he kept hold of it. So I hope he did. Yeah, apologies to him for that. And then I had quite a bit of damage. So it was just about sticking with the guys ahead of me and seeing where we end up.
Well, you certainly did a good job out there today, Dan. All the best for the rest of the season, and do take care.
Thanks, buddy, and well done to Martin again, repping the ARM team. And yeah, see you soon.
There we go. That was Dan Martin from RD Sim Sport. Good to hear from one of our drivers out there, and yeah, definitely. I think he was deserving of that race win in race 2. He did a sterling job, and yeah, I think it's the race of it's the differences in the races and how things can pan out for you out there, and yeah, all good.
And that's why when you get the opportunities like that, you really need to, you know, take advantage. He was obviously the quickest driver out of that front pack, managed to work his way to the front and then pulled that 5-second gap. So he's definitely, yeah, taking the points there and running away with it. That was probably one of the easier race victories that he's going to have. But yeah, looking forward to the next race at Jerez. Of course, we have, we're just saying before the interview, we've got a slightly similar style of corners. I wonder how that's going to go. Of course, the straights are a bit shorter. So maybe the overtakes will have to be a little bit more aggressive if you want to try and get past.
If they're going to get more aggressive than tonight, then get your flak jacket on and get yourself a foxhole to get in. My goodness, it's going to be carnage out there if that's the case, because it was properly aggressive moves out there tonight. Really enjoyable to watch, and certainly some sensational stuff out there in this opening round.
And of course, we don't have to wait too long. It is just 1 week's time before we get to Jerez, and then a week after that, we'll be going to Monza as well. So 3 back-to-back to start the season here for the World Touring Car Series, and it's been a great opening for the series. Myself, Cameron Roger, and Paul Smith have been taking you through the action. We had Connery Maddock on the production behind the scenes for RaceSpotTV as well. But we thank you for watching, and until next week at Jerez, we wish you a very warm goodbye.